Romper, bomper, stomper, boo, tell me, do. Where was that from? That was Miss Helena in that kids' television program. Back in the late 70s, 80s, she was the host. She used to get the magic mirror out. You remember that? And she'd get the magic mirror out. She'd say, romper, bomper, stomper, boo, tell me, do. And then she'd just look into that magic mirror and go, I can see Jacob, I can see Kevin, I can see Lisa. Never said, I can see Heath. I am still waiting, Miss Helena, for you to call my name. That's what I feel like, guys. Whenever our football club released vision, and they released vision on the weekend from our full-scale practice match, which was held at Icon Park on a Saturday morning. 5-minute vision they released. It was a lockout for fans. Now, down the road on Friday, North Melbourne, obviously it's not a stadium, anyone could just walk up, but not only could you just go and watch North Melbourne's full-scale practice match, they actually had a live stream of it as well. Us though, we're a lot more secretive. We close it up, no fans allowed, no live stream, and we get 5 minutes. So I feel like Miss Helena, I've got to get the magic mirror out and I've got to go, who's there? Okay, I can see him. I can see you too. He's not there. Okay, and it becomes a little bit like that. My interest for this, guys, is not necessarily who was playing for us in regards to our AFL list, because there was no Wiedering, no Boyd, no Curnow, no Walsh, no Ben Camporelli. I didn't see Nick Haynes, and obviously no Motlop and Williams, who are over in Perth on Indigenous All-Stars duty. That's not my concern. I wasn't really watching the vision to see TDK take a couple of grabs, or bloody Jagger Smith turn on a Fripney bit, or Cripper. They looked impressive, as they always do, the usual suspects. I'm more interested, and this is where I put the Miss Helena magic mirror on, is I'm more interested in who's going to be our final pick. Well, when I say final pick, SSP closes this Friday. So the 21st of February, the final list lodgements, okay, you have to lodge your final player by this Friday. And we had a number, the vision that was sent out, okay, I was like stopping, going, he's there, okay, these are the train-on players, these are the VFL listed players that we needed to fill in to make two sides for match sim or practice match, intra-club practice match. I had a bit of fun with it. I really did. It was great. I had a really, and I speculate. I'm not going to get all these right, but we are probably at a bit of a disadvantage here, because we play a full-scale practice match against St Kilda at Icon Park on Saturday. Now, we're not going to be able to have any of our train-on players to get that final spot play against an opposition club. Now, Essendon played the Western Bulldogs on the weekend, and they trialled a couple of train-on players in Kane Baldwin and Tom Edwards. Now, Tom Edwards went out against Western Bulldogs and kicked 4 goals in a half and put his name up in lights. Yesterday, the Eagles, they trialled 3 train-on players in key position prospects, James Van East and also Sandy Brock for that last, well, they've got 2 spots that they want to take, and also Jack Anderson from, I think he was best on the ground for Werribee in last year's grand final for Werribee in the VFL. He's come across to trial, and he played in yesterday's practice games because of the long-term injury to Dom Sheed. So we have to pick ours just based on, I suppose, match sim form, intra-club practice game on the weekend form. Now, I'm assuming that announcement will take place over the coming days. Maybe we won't take a player. Maybe we're just not happy with what we've got. They haven't impressed enough. We're just going to have to wait and see. But what I'm going to do here, guys, because I have freeze framed throughout here, I've got the vision rolling at the moment, is I have identified, one, the train-on players, and the ones I think are probably more likely than not to get the opportunity, and then just the VFL listed players who filled in. And maybe some of those impressed. Who bloody nose with our football club because we are so bloody secretive. So I'm going to start with Will White. So I've got the magic mirror out. I can see Will White. He definitely played. He didn't feature much in the 5-minute sort of highlights, but I've been very impressed with him in both of the open training sessions that I've been to. I was impressed with him with his 18 games and 21 goals in the VFL last year. I think he's the leader of the pack, and I would like for us to give him that opportunity. I think he gives us a point of difference up the ground. I know he's a small forward, but he's got a beautiful left foot on him, very evasive, makes really good decisions. Originally from South Warrnambool, came through the talent pathways with the GWV Rebels. He's not a big boy, but he's rather quick and got good agility. Kind of reminds me a little bit, guys, of Kay Chandler from Melbourne with that left foot, gets up the ground, becomes quite dangerous and can be a connector. 18 games, 21 goals, and came third in our VFL Best and Fairest last year. Now, he's already committed to our VFL program for 2025. Anyway, I think he's the leader of the pack. We'll just have to wait and see. The second guy on the list who I think is just behind him, but he might be in front of him because he's been knocking on the door for quite a while now, is Liam McMahon. Also been with our VFL program now for 2 seasons and is committed for 2025. Drafted by Collingwood as a raw sort of key forward. They tried him down back and then they delisted him after 2 years without playing any football. He came to us and he's really built his career, and he's come back this pre-season a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and he's trained with this group, this senior group, since they returned in November. He's played 33 games with us in the VFL over 2 seasons and kicked 61 goals. Last year was a fine year for him. I think he was second on the VFL goal kicking tally, won our best and fairest in the VFL and kicked 7 goals in an eye-opening sort of display against the Cats late in the season. So he's another one that it's just been like demanding and really knocking on the door, and he features in the highlights a little bit as that lead up forward. So I think he's a close second, but it wouldn't surprise me if we gave him a chance. And then there's a couple of former Hawthorn key defenders who I'm not overly impressed with, if I'm brutally honest. It would be purely backup if we do go with these, but I don't think that will be the case. First one is Denver Granger Barras. Hasn't committed to our VFL program. My feeling is if he doesn't get a gig with us, he'll go back to Western Australia where he's originally from. He was picked up by the Hawks about 5 seasons ago. He's 23 years of age, originally a top 10 draft pick, but that was during COVID, where it was a bit of a bloody mess. He came across to the Hawks, kind of impressed in his first season as that sort of third tall defender. That can play a little bit taller and look at a pinch can play sort of that medium sort of size defender as well. Look, 28 games in 4 seasons, a few injuries. He's come across, he's trained with us right the way through this period. He's had a couple of knocks, one on his shoulder and then one on his leg as well. So it hasn't been smooth sailing for him. At 194 centimetres, he's not, to me, what I've seen, it's probably a big no for Denver Granger Barras. And the other one is Ethan Phillips, also from Hawthorn. He's actually signed with our VFL team. He did that late last year. He's a 25-year-old, 197 centimetres. Originally, Oakley Chargers, didn't get drafted, went to Port Melbourne. Kind of impressed in his first year there as an 18, 19-year-old, but was sort of rotating between Port Melbourne and St Kevin's Old Boys in the VAFA. Played in the premiership with them, not Port Melbourne, with St Kevin's. And then spent the next 2 or 3 seasons with Port Melbourne and really building his game as an intercept defender, and did quite well. And then he won, I think it was the, what do they call it? The Fothergill Round Medal is the best or the most promising youngster in the VFL, and then joined Box Hill. And I think that move at the start of 2024 was in relation to Hawthorn losing a number of key defenders in that. You remember that disastrous practice match they had last year, where they just had ACLs galore with their key backs, and they were decimated. So he got picked up as an SSP at Hawthorn at the start of last year and played just the one game with the Hawks. And then with the recruitment of Josh Battle and Tom Barrass at Hawthorn, he got squeezed out. He's been training with us as well, but it's once again, it's a no from me. He's okay, he's serviceable, but I don't know. I feel like we could do better than that. And I think either Denver, Granger Barrass, or Ethan Phillips would be purely a backup. So it's a big no. It's a big no from me. The other interesting one, who's sort of coming, I think, with a bit of a rush because he's had some AFL experience of late, particularly last year, is Frank the Tank Francis Evans. He played on the weekend as well in the intra-club practice match. He signed with our VFL team late last year. 23-year-old, more a power small forward, sort of robust type. Originally drafted by the Geelong before he went to Port Adelaide. He was just a bizarre pick. Geelong do that. They just plucked him out of obscurity from, Brunswick North Old Boys in 10th division of the amateurs. No, it wasn't 10th division. Whatever they're in, they're not even in the top tier of the amateurs, but he didn't even come through the talent pathways like the Coates Talent League. He was just like Stephen Wells just said, yeah, we're going to take that kid there. We'll make him into a 200-game player All-Australian for Geelong. It didn't quite work out that way. Spent 2 or 3 seasons at Geelong, played 7 games, and he was just up against Brad Close and Grime Myers and who's the other one they got down there? Tyson Stengel. It's a pretty decent sort of forward line. But he was squeezed out, went to Port Adelaide, fared a little bit better there. 26 games in 2 seasons with Port, 19 goals. Yeah, okay, but it was his finals series, which was really poor. Played 3 finals with Port last year and had 6 touches against Geelong, no goals, 5 disposals against Hawthorn, no goals, and then got an opportunity in the prelim and had 2 touches against Sydney and no goals as well. And yeah, they said, no more of you, Frank the Tank, and off he came to Carlton. And he's been joining in training of late. I'd prefer we went with Will White, but who fucking knows with our football club. The other one I can see in there is Dane Harvey, who filled in. He's another one from our VFL program. He's a big lad. He's 21 years of age, key forward from the Northern Knights, where he played 24 games across 3 seasons in the Coates Talent League. He also plays for Fitzroy, where he played some really good football in the VAFA last year. I think they're in the Premier League now, Fitzroy. I think they were promoted to the Premier League. As I said, he's 196 centimetres. It's a big lad. Played 2 back-to-back games, or maybe he played 3 games in Carlton's VFL last year and kicked the goal on debut. He amassed, I think, 13 touches and 8 marks and shows a little bit, but he'll play with our VFL team this year. But he's one to, I suppose, watch if he gets regular football in our VFL program. The other one I can see in there, I think, it gets a little bit tricky, but I think it's Aidan Mills. He kind of looks like Francis Evans, but Francis Evans is wearing the pink boots and Aidan Mills is wearing the white boots. Originally from Echuca, I don't think he played for the Murray Bushrangers. I couldn't find any information whether he played in the Coates Talent League. Originally from Echuca, 2 years with the Carlton VFL program, where he's played 11 games in a couple of years. Restricted to only 2 games last year because of injury. He's sort of a midfielder, defender type, and I reckon he filled in on the weekend. Couple of other players we got there. Cooper Vickery. Now, he's a recent signing last year for our VFL team. Now, he was actually drafted by Sydney with pick 27 back in the 2022 draft. Originally from Bairnsdale, played for the Gippy Power, represented them in the Coates Talent League, and also played for Vic Country. Played 27 VFL games in 2 seasons for the Swans. Averaged 14 disposals a game as a sort of halfback flanker. He's a left footer, 180 centimetre, sort of winger type. I reckon he played as well, just sort of trying to match up some of the players playing out on the ground with my Misselina Magic Mirror. I think he played as well. And the other one, it kind of looks like Cooper Vickery is, I think, Archie Stevens. He also got a run as well. Now, he's also like Will White. They must be mates. He's from South Warrnambool, like Will White, and played at the GW Rebels at the same time. Now, he's been actually on our VFL list now for 3 years and played 27 games. He's a real lightweight at about 178 centimetres. That is sort of like a wing, midfield, bit of small forward as well. He was actually best on the ground for South Warrnambool in the 2024 Hampden League Grand Final. I'm going to finish off with a couple of players. We've got Big Flynn Riley, who I've mentioned before. Now, he's a 206 centimetre giant, sort of developing ruckman. I think we like him. I really do. He's trained a lot with this group over the pre-season. He's a left footer, a little bit awkward, but developing at that size. I don't know, I get this feeling that we're a little bit obsessed with these really, really, really tall sort of players, over sort of 205, 206 centimetres. We went with the big Murkoff as well. I don't know. Anyway, he's a developing type. Played for the Northern Knights in the Coates Talent League. He's yet to play. It was signed by a VFL last year, didn't play a game, and spent pretty much the whole year with Montmorency in the Northern Football League, where he played in a losing grand final. They got smashed by Heidelberg. And on that, incidentally, another player who I think played on the weekend is Patrick Dozzi, also from our Carlton VFL program. And he played in that losing grand final with Montmorency as well. Now, he's played 16 games in 3 seasons with Carlton's VFL team. Now, he really impressed in his first couple of seasons, but last year it was an absolute disaster for him. He did his ankle early in the year and didn't come back until really late in the year, and played a couple of games before playing in that losing grand final for Montmorency. And he's another player who I reckon started at Coates Talent League level, particularly running through the midfield. I think he had average 25 touches from 10 games in his draft year, and was probably a little bit unlucky not to get picked up maybe as a rookie. So there's some of the players that I noticed, guys, that were running around on the weekend. If you've noticed any others that you would like to share with me, that would be absolutely fantastic. But my money, to finish off with, my money is on Will White, because I really like him, closely followed by Liam McMahon, but I wouldn't be surprised with our football club that they'll go with Francis Evans. I don't know. I've just got this feeling they're going to go with Francis Evans, but let's get Will White onto our list. The kid's got something special. Take care. Speak soon.